Okay, July 21st, 2025. About time for our first garden update video of the year. A bunch of different things going on. Might get a little bit of lens flare here. The sun's going down towards the backyard, but good time update. Kind of an overview on a couple things. One, this is northwest suburbs of Chicago. I think the winter was a little bit of a harder winter this year. It seems like everything is about maybe 2 weeks behind where it was last year. So that's one factor. There are a couple of other things going on here. One is that if you look at the big bananas in the back, if anyone watched the videos last year, you know that a bunch of those flowered, and I think that has to do with the level of growth and the kind of growth you're seeing this year. But a bunch going on. Everything seems like it has a story, so we can get into it. In the front, we have two different things: beacon impatiens and then watermelon coleus. It's a little harder to see now because the beacon impatiens in the front have filled in, but as it seems happens every year, I end up having a seed odyssey in terms of just everything's going wrong. This year, I got seed from a place that wasn't a local greenhouse, and it wasn't Harris Seeds. It was another place. I ordered a bunch of different shades of beacon impatiens with the goal of having a bunch of colors, specifically tropical shades here, there, and everywhere. It was kind of a disaster. These were not part of the group I grew from seed. I think I was attempting to grow 4 different varieties plus watermelon coleus, which I bought kind of as an afterthought. Of all the ones that I grew from seed, Lipstick right here is the only one that made it all the way through, and man, did it make it. This stuff is fantastic. I will always be getting this. I love the color of this. It has just worked out so great. But aside from this, which did pretty well, it was just carnage. So many trays never came in at all. I had coral as another variety, and I had 3 plants, 3 precious plants, which are around back in a pot that represent the only thing that came through at all, in addition to all the lipstick. So thank goodness the lipstick. And then the coleus, as an afterthought, I bought some. Maybe half of that came in, and that ended up doing some heavy lifting for me when other stuff didn't come in. I love watermelon coleus. I know that I'm supposed to pinch it back more. I did it more this year. I just haven't had the guts to really get in there. For anyone who knows anything about coleus, if you really want it to bush out, you really have to pinch it at a bunch of different nodes early on to get it to fork a bunch of different ways to get a bushy plant. I did it a little, but I could have done it more. I didn't have the guts to do it earlier. The varieties in the middle I got from Pesci's greenhouse, and the funny thing about this is it's a little harder to tell now, but there's orange and violet. But I had violet last year that I grew from seed, and it was a lot more bushy like this. The reason these are a little less is both of these almost died right at the beginning of the summer. They really died back. And I think it was a mix of, could have been anything. Could have been too much sun, although I tried to harden these off. But I bought these in trays, whereas the other ones I grew from seed. But it's the same plant. It's all beacon impatiens. And while those were doing great, these were really having a tough time. Really kind of bizarre. And if you think it's section of the yard, well, there's more beacon impatiens over here looking nice and happy and bushy. That are all the lipstick from seed, and more coleus that I grew from seed. But these went the wrong way, and then we were on vacation for a little while, and I thought I was going to lose them while I was on vacation. But shouts to Mark across the street, who was taking care of them. They bounced back, but that's why they're behind everything else. But again, this was a backup plan after a ton of the seed didn't come in. But anyway, it all looks pretty great now, and would be even farther along if we had last year's winter. The elephant ears you watched last year, you know, these are bulletproof. These are the heavy hitters. I have more of these than I know what to do with. Everything you're seeing here, it's important to know, at this point, these are all 4th or 5th generation Illinois elephant ears. Not that they stay in the ground in the winter, they don't. They come out of the ground, but they love it in the summer so much. And they're so happy being out for the summer, then being dried out, then being boxed up for the winter. They just keep producing, dividing, producing, and dividing. I can't stress enough, I have more of these than I know what to do with. I've sold some around the neighborhood. I've given some away to family. and I still have so many pots of these in addition to all these. And if we go around, you'll see just how much I have more of these than I know what to do with, and they'll only keep increasing. They do so well, and they grow and divide. Cannas in the planter boxes, I realized that one thing I don't actually have is just regular green cannas with flowering, and I would like to kind of diversify. I have kind of a dark leaf red, then I have a slightly less dark leaf orange, and I have several other pots of both of these varieties. And then the stars, the one that people ask the more, that I'm seeing more and more in other places now, is this variegated, which flowers in two colors, red and yellow. I have more of these back around the back as well. This was the first one to come in. There's another one coming in. I mean, these are just awesome. They've done so well. If I go, oh, and word on the cannas. I mentioned this last year. I have a shelf in the backyard. This past year at the end of the season, I took all the cannas out, just straight out of the pots, put them in the garage, let them dry out, then wrapped them up, cut them to the base, put them in newspaper for the winter, put them back in the pots in the spring, started watering, and then they came right back. It's the fastest they've ever came back. Everything else was slow, and everything this year came back, and the cannas came back faster. These are Ito peonies, talked about this last year. Obviously, they're on a very different flowering cycle than everything else, and they're not really a tropical plant. They flower in June with big yellow flowers, which is great. This time of year, I'm getting really jealous of anyone that has hardy hibiscus about to come in, because obviously that would be perfect with this. But these things grow pretty quickly, and they are kind of a big space eater that really fills in when everything else is still coming in. The bananas, obviously everyone's always asking about those. This is the big thing where, if we get in here, see more elephant ears. This year I put Impatiens in this spot. They've done a lot better than last year when I kind of had a bunch of elephant ears, then ended up just kind of giving up. These have done really well. So many elephant ears. In terms of the bananas though, so for anyone that remembers last year, for the first time in like 3 or 4 years, I had great flowering off of each of these bunches of bananas. I think this one had at least one. This bunch over here had, I think, at least 2, if not more. That bunch had 1, and the huge bunch back there had none, which I think is significant because it really feels like this year, everything that flowered last year, every bunch of bananas that flowered last year really died back to the ground. This group, I thought this plant had died. It went all the way into June before I noticed one little shoot. I was preparing to have to dig it up and transplant or replace it with something, and now it's coming back. And I would say that was from the harshness of the winter, except that as you can see from that massive one back there, that one's huge right now, and that was the only one that didn't flower and fruit last year. So I'm kind of thinking flower and fruit followed by new growth for the whole plants. And the other reason I have that theory is that this plant over by the door, which is the only other one that didn't flower last year, is on its way to flowering and fruiting, which will be really cool right by the front door. But still, even still, I mean, it's all relative. This plant, which is by far the tallest one in the front group, was all the way back down to the base and then took time coming out of here. It was a slow starter, I think, because of all this new growth, because these are all new. Every one of these plants that you see here is brand new this year, except for this one, which was all the way back down to that nub. And now this is well taller than me. The Abyssinian reds, here's another really big thing, and this is a question for a lot of you. 7 Abyssinian reds came out of the ground. I dug them all up, threw them in the garage, dried them out for 2 weeks, wrapped them in black garbage bags, put them in the basement. 7 bananas came back. It worked like a charm for all of them. If anything, the only problem was that in the middle of winter, or late winter, in black garbage bags that had been cinched, not knotted, but cinched, in a dark basement, every one of these started trying to grow again. And they all pushed their way out of the garbage bags, and then the mites got to them. And eventually I had to rush them out into late spring, in early spring, put them in the garage, which has a window, to get them out of our house in that condition. And then as soon as I could, bring them out and put them in the ground and spray them and cut them back to deal with the mite infestation. So they all got cut back and then they all just exploded. So if you're ever wondering, can I take my red banana and dry it out and just keep it in my basement? You sure can. If anything, the problem is going to be that it's going to want to start. It's not going to die. It's that it's going to want to start to live too quickly. But champagne problems. 7 went into the garage, 7 went into the basement, 7 came back. 6 are right here. They're all huge. They're all doing great. And it actually has me wondering, I looked up the other day, do these ever flower? You know, I think around here, you so rarely see one of these make it through more than one summer. But if, like these ones, they keep coming back, will they? And the answer is yes, but if they flower, the whole plant will die. It's not like the other, the Musa bastus, which send out new plants. These are monocarpic, and this plant is the whole deal. If it flowers, the whole thing will die, but I still would like to see it. It'd still be pretty cool. So that's everything there. These are the Mexican fan palms. They've been repotted, and since they repotted, they've been doing way better. They needed to be repotted. They were getting too big and they would start to get strangled by the pots. And in them, neighbor across the street gave me a bunch of aloe that he didn't want. He had overgrowing, planted them in, kind of thought most of it would die. Nope. So I was super happy in there, and that'll work out well because in terms of an indoor plant, Mexican fan palm and an aloe plant are kind of similar in terms of sun needs and moisture needs in the winter. So that'll work out well. And then triangle palm, which is doing pretty well. It's been pretty much in this spot with more aloe in it. It's doing great. It's just happy. I love this palm. I wish way more pinnate palms could survive way more easily indoors around here, and I would grow a lot more. And then again, this other one, it's decent size, but these were all huge last year, but these all fruited and flowered, so it's still kind of growing up. And then this is, again, like I said, I would say the argument against the fact that they're just coming back slow because it was a harsh winter is this plant's huge. It's as big or bigger than it was last year. It's the only one that didn't flower last year. And if you look up on the right in that plant, I think that one's gonna flower right there. So there is so much going on. Oh, and the last thing before we call this, we'll work around to the side this year. Go over here. The 7th of the red bananas is right here, with a couple elephant ears, more of the coleus, and one of the potted cannas, which I just kind of rotate through as they flower. So this one was just like an afterthought. It was tiny in a pot and just left in the basement for the winter and totally came back. So yeah, so that is our first update. Hopefully I'll get another video if our friendly banana by the door decides to flower, which would be really cool. Then we'll get another one. So yeah, as with any garden, trials and tribulations, successes and failures, but overall, no complaints. It's all come together quite well.